I'm not sure if I'm the only one that has a sweet spot for the E90 series. I remember when I was a teenager in high school, the first time this car was released, I was super excited. I thought it was the most beautiful BMW released at that time. And to this day, I still believe this car is one of the best looking BMWs ever designed. And the very special thing about the E93 series is it doesn't only look good from the outside, but it is equally as good looking from the inside as well, if not even better looking, because the inside, for me personally, I think the inside of the E93 series is the culmination of the BMW interior design. It is the epitome of BMW interior design. It's just absolutely perfect from every single angle you look at it. And the very special thing about the E93 series is it doesn't only look good from the outside, but it is equally as good looking from the inside as well, if not even better looking, because the inside, for me personally, I think the inside of the E93 series is the culmination of the BMW interior design. It is the epitome of BMW interior design. It's just absolutely perfect from every single angle you look at it. So I have a picture of the interior of one E90 series launch version, which I'm going to be sharing with you guys here. So this is basically the interior of one of the press cars, one of the very early E93 series to be launched. I believe it was back in 2008, 2009. This is actually the facelift version of the E90 series. And the one thing that strikes me here, guys, is first of all, let's take a look at the steering wheel, right? The steering wheel is one of the best looking steering wheels BMW has ever made, period. The first point that makes me state this is the thickness of the steering wheel. Now, I'm not sure if you ever had a chance to hold the steering wheel, but the thickness of it is absolutely perfect. It's not too thick, it's not too thin. And if you have driven any EM cars in the past, you may have noticed that some steering wheels may be a little too much on the thick end. But this steering wheel's thickness is absolutely perfect. The next thing is this design element right here. I think this is absolutely stunning. I love how this looks like. This is one of the reasons why I say that this is one of the best looking BMW steering wheels ever, and it's just a joy to look at when you are sat behind it. Here you have the physical control buttons, which again, you know, they have a neat design. They blend in perfectly with the steering wheel and it just looks absolutely perfect. Now, the next thing that comes to mind when I look at this interior is the generous trim elements. You can see how generous the wood center console trim is right here, wrapping around the center console, as well as the wood trim that goes all across the dashboard right here. This is something which is no longer available nowadays, I believe, for the sake of saving cost. So if you look at the newer generation 3 series, they have a much smaller trim at the bottom of this section right here for the sake of saving costs. So this is definitely one of the reasons that make this interior stand out, and it just left me a very strong impression on this interior from that era up until now. You can see how the climate control unit is just perfectly situated in the center console. It's very easy to operate, very easy to read, very simple, clean design, small LCD screen right in the middle, which shows you the temperature as well as the fan speed, all you need, and nothing more, nothing less. Exactly what you need, where you need it. This is absolutely perfect. One very important detail here for you guys to see is these airflow direction shortcut buttons right here. Nowadays, with the newer cars, with all the tech and everything, you would have to toggle between digital screens to switch between the fan going up the windscreen or going down or just blowing straight in your face. But with this car right here, all you have to do is just press a single button to decide where you want the airflow to go. Another thing that makes this interior very special is these cup holders right here. Now bear in mind, guys, that you actually get a second cup holder on the right hand side right here. Unfortunately, this picture is cut right at this point, so we cannot see it. but this just goes to show you the amount of detail and engineering that has gone into these cars that are almost 20 years old. Like, there is no way this interior looks 20 years old, not in a million years. This interior is still absolutely relevant in 2026. Now let's move on to the next thing that makes this interior so special. Now, I know this poses a little bit of controversy, and this is not something that a lot of people would agree on, but I am a massive fan of the iDrive hump that you get right in the middle. Why? Because it looks absolutely beautiful, right? That's number one. Number two is it kind of mimics the design you get right here on top of the instrument cluster. And third is it has a very unique design feature. So basically you have a screen which is covered by a second protection screen right here, which you can barely see, but you can see the edges of it wrapping around. You can see these black edges right here. These are the black edges of the protective screen protecting the actual iDrive screen. Now, the nice thing about having this hump right on top of it is that it gives you an absolutely perfect visibility at all times. No matter how bright the day is, no matter how sunny it is outside, you get an absolutely perfect visibility. The next special thing about the E90 interior is the generous use of Dakota leather on the door panels right here. You can see how far it goes across the door. This is something that is definitely missing in the newer generation 3 Series. Now let's move on to the air vents. I am a big fan of the air vents design right here. It looks so well balanced, and you have the warning light, you have the DTC button, the central lock button right here, all disposed right in the middle, and it just looks so neat and tidy. I'm a big fan of this design element right here. Down below you have your typical buttons for the seat heating. You have the button for the rear automatic sunshade, as well as for the PDC, the parking distance control. And best of all, you have the button for the rear automatic sunshade, as well as for the PDC, the parking distance control. And best of all, we have a manual handbrake. Now, this is something that you definitely don't get in newer generation cars. And it goes without saying that it's so satisfying to use, and it's much simpler than an electronic parking brake, and you have less electronic things that can go wrong, right? Now, there is one option that this particular car is missing, which is a little bit odd because press cars normally they are fully loaded with all options you can get in the car, but this particular car is not equipped with the Harman Kardon sound systems. Hence, it has the cheaper looking speaker grill right here, but if it was equipped with it, it would have had a much more premium looking speaker grill right here with the typical Harman Kardon logo sitting right at the bottom of this speaker grill right here. We have discussed all the design elements and all the things that we see with our eyes, but the best thing about this interior is how it feels when you touch things, you know, when you push buttons, when you use the manual gear lever, when you use the manual handbrake, when you are sat on the seat, when you are turning the steering wheel. This is such well put together interior. It is one of the most solid, most well put together interiors BMW has ever made, although it has some weak points. One of these is the rubber that wraps around the steering wheel trim right here. This one is notorious for getting peeled off over time. If you are on the lookout for a used E90, make sure you pay close attention to this. BMW absolutely nailed the ergonomics in this car, and I think that this is honestly the benchmark when it comes to a car interior. I mean, it couldn't have been any better, and when you think that this interior was released back in the 2000s, it is absolutely unbelievable how this car was so far ahead of its time, especially with the iDrive system. This iDrive system is still relevant up to this day. It is still snappy, fast, super easy to operate, and you pretty much have all the functions you would ever need in a car. And not to mention, it is still a very high quality screen with high definition graphics, which again are still relevant to this day. So to think that this was released back in 2006, 7, 8, 9 is absolutely unbelievable. So I don't know about you guys, but I thought I would share with you why I believe the E90 interior is one of the best looking interiors BMW has ever made. It's an interior that to this day I really appreciate being in. If you can pick one of these E90 3 Series 6-cylinder ones 335i, 335D even in diesel. If you can pick them in a decent condition with not too high of a mileage, you can get them for I believe 10 to 15k, and trust me guys, it is an absolute steal for the money. Kudos to BMW for coming up with such a fantastic interior design with the E90 3 Series. If you guys like this video, give me a like. If you have any comments, make sure to leave them down in the comment section down below. If you like this content, subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.